Describe Fouling's model, illustrate how Phelps' version differs from Friedman's version. Second is, in accordance to Fouling's model, explain how real inflation remains unnoticeable. So hello everyone, a very good afternoon. So as you can see, I have illustrated two questions, and these questions have come several times in our UPSC optional economics paper, right? So what are these questions? Describe Fouling's model, illustrate how Phelps' version differs from Friedman's version. Second is, in accordance to Fouling's model, explain how real inflation remains unnoticeable. So these two questions and many more, basically the questions revolving around Fouling's model, have been asked several times by UPSC. So today let us understand that what is this Fouling's model, what is the meaning of it, and let's look into the different versions of it. The important aspect of Fouling's model is that the version of Fouling model, it is the core concept of economics, but it is applied in our day-to-day life, and we will see how it is applicable. Okay, so let's get started. So what actually is Fouling's model? So see, as the name is suggestive enough, in Fouling's model, what happens is that either the worker or employees or both are unaware of real wage rate. Are unaware of real wage rates, thereby taking wrong decisions in the economy. So see, in Fouling's model, what actually Fouling's model is that either the firms, that is employees who are going to hire the workers, or the workers who are being hired or who are working in the firm, or both, they are not aware that what actually is the wage rate prevalent in the market. Now when they are not aware of the real wage rate, the important term is real, not the nominal. Yeah, what's the difference between real and nominal? In real, we also include the inflation rate, whereas in nominal, inflation rate is not included. So workers or employees or both are unaware of the real wage rate, and when they are unaware of the real wage rate, so the decisions they will make, those decisions will be wrong. Yes or no? Because they have got no idea of what the wage rate is. Okay? Now, this is what Fouling's model means. This model was explained by Friedman as well as Phelps, and in Phelps we have certain diversifications also. So let us understand the versions of Friedman and Phelps one by one. Let's get started with the Friedman's version. Of Fouling's model, obviously. So see, what happens in Friedman's version is that the firms are quite aware of the actual wages, right? Firms are quite aware that what wage rate is prevalent in the market, what real wage rate is prevalent in the market, but workers are unaware of it. Okay, getting me? So firms have perfect knowledge of the prices and workers are unaware of the prices. Okay, so here in Friedman's version, firms are having the perfect knowledge, but workers are not aware. They don't know what actual price rate is there in the market. Understood? Okay, so what will happen if workers are not aware? So when actual, pay attention, when workers are not aware of the actual price, so when nominal wages will change, when nominal wages change, so workers are not able to make out, they are not able to understand that whether their real wages have changed or not. Yes or no? The meaning is they take the change in their nominal wage as the change in their real wage. That means they are not aware that this change in their wages, this change in their income has been bought up due to inflation or not. That means whether it is their real wage change or not. Okay, so when nominal wages change, workers could not figure out that whether their real wage has also changed. Getting me? So they are not able to understand that whether their real wages has changed or not. Let us understand this with the help of an example. Okay, an example will make the things more clear. Now let us say there is an economy and it is operating at its normal rate. That means there is certain unemployment rate. Economy is operating at normal rate means it is operating at full employment level. All the resources have been employed. That's what full employment level means. So let us say, just an example to explain, that an economy is operating at full employment level. Okay, now what happens is government expands its fiscal policy or monetary policy is being expanded by the government. Government follows expansionary fiscal policy. So government has adopted expansionary fiscal policy. Right or wrong? You all know what fiscal policy is here. We have already studied it so many times, very basic thing. So when government has adopted expansionary fiscal policy, what's going to happen? The output level is going to shift upwards. Yes or no? That is also known as overemployed thing. Yeah, overemployment state of economy. So output is going to shift upwards. Fine. But you see, since the economy was already at its full employment level, yeah, see, we have written it. Economy is already working in full employment level. So what's going to happen now? So inflationary rates will get prevailed. What is the meaning? The meaning is that prices will start shooting up. Yes or no? So due to this expansionary fiscal policy, because all the resources have been used, now output cannot be further increased because all the resources are already employed. So due to expansionary fiscal policy of the government, the prices are going to hike up or prices will shoot up. Right? So prices will rise throughout the market. Now due to rise in the prices, okay, now let us assume that, again, since it is an example, so I am taking some data so that you can understand it in a better way. So let's say prices rise by 10%. Yeah. Prices rise by 10%. Guys, I hope you know why prices are rising up. We have done it. Anyway, prices are rising up because of the expansionary policy of government. Okay, and when government follows the expansionary policy, so aggregate demand increases. Just telling you so that if you have forgotten. So when aggregate demand is going to increase, this will result in the hike in the prices. Due to increase in the aggregate demand, your prices are going to hike up or rise. So let's say 10% price hike is there in the market. So all the things have become costlier by 10%. Now 10% hike is there. Companies understand that overall hike in price is there due to excess aggregate demand. So what are they going to do? They are going to increase the wages of the workers. Yes or no? Right. So let's say companies increase the wages by 8%. Wage increases by 8%. Now pay attention, price has increased by 10%, wages have increased by 8%, but worker is not having any idea that this raise in the wage, is due to the overall increase in the prices. Yes or no? They are thinking that this wage increase is the real wage increment. They are thinking that their wages have increased with inflation into the consideration, but that's false. Yes or no? Because prices of all of the things in the market have hiked up by 10%. So actually this 8% wage rate increment is less. Yeah, actually there is no wage increment. Actually the workers wage has decremented by 2%. Yes or no? Actually his wage has decremented, it has decreased because overall price hike is of 10%, but worker is unaware of it. So he is losing the value of its money. Workers are losing the value of their money by how much? By 2%. See, hike in wage is 8%, hike in the prices is 10%, 10 minus 8, 2% decrement in the real wage rate of the worker. Yeah, but workers are unaware of it. And see guys, this thing is relevant in today's date also, in our day-to-day life. How? See, if we talk about our country, so what's the official government record or government data about inflation? Government says that according to government, the inflation rate is around about 6.9%. You can take it to be 7%, approximately 7%, fine. Okay, but you see, there is one more government data which contradicts this fact of government. How? Okay, see, that's why I say that this data of inflation produced by government is debatable matter. Why? Because see, when GST was launched in our country, so you all are now well aware with GST, I have taught you also. So a GST committee was formed, right? Now, after the advent of GST, states were the one who were at loss. Why? Because see, earlier there were multiple taxes on a single product. Yes or no? There were multiple taxes on a single product. Thereby, states were earning higher revenue. But GST, it's a good step. It removed all those multiple taxes and a single tax GST is there. So due to that, these states suffered loss in their revenue. Yeah. So that was the concern for states, that our revenue is declining. So what should we do? So government told the states that see, what we are going to do is, and it's in written, you can check in Google also. The GST committee said that see, what we are going to do is, we are going to compensate for your loss for 5 years. So government said that government is going to compensate for the loss that is incurred by the state due to reduction in their revenue. So you will say, okay sir, that's fine, that's a good step. But how come inflation is different? Wait a minute. So government is going to compensate with whatever the amount that is falling short, that much amount will be provided by the central government to the states. That's what it means. Okay. So then again state said that okay, you are going to provide us the amount, that is fine, but you see, you are going to provide us the amount after an year. Now in an year there is going to be inflation also. So actually the sum that is being provided to us by you, that is not the actual sum that we would have received. Yes or no? Because of inflation, the value of that sum is decreasing. So you have to compensate the inflation rate also. So government said no problem, we are going to compensate the actual amount or difference. I am writing difference in short. Difference in revenue and we are also going to compensate for the inflation. It's there in the GST Council's note. You can Google it. You can take it out from net. So difference in revenue we are going to compensate. And how much, by how much rate we are going to compensate? They said nearly 12 to 13%. This much is the inflationary compensation given by central government to the state government every year after the launch of GST for 5 years. So see, central government is compensating the states, that is the state government, with 12 to 13% of the inflationary rates, and central government tells us that inflation in our country is 6.9%. So these both are very contradictory things. Which data is correct? Because both are being given by central government. For state, the inflationary rate is something else, and for public, they say inflationary rate is something else. Okay, and inflation is the topic of your prelims as well as GS. Yes or no? So see, just by understanding, and see how Fooling's model is applicable here. Friedman's model. Workers are not aware. Workers are not aware that what actual or what real wage is. They are not aware of it. So whatever is the hike, they are taking at it as a real wage increment. Same is with us. We are not aware what actual inflationary rate is. Yeah. So whatever government tells us, we say okay. Now if 12 to 13%, and if you look pragmatically into this matter, what is the ground report? By how much the prices of your LPG have increased? If you look at different aspects, you realize that 6.9 is a low level of inflationary rate that they are saying. In reality, it is much higher. And no FD offers you this much interest rate. Forget about savings. Saving gives 2 to 4%. FD it is 6 to 7%. Nothing gives you this much inflationary compensation rate. No treasury bond, nothing. So you have to. So if I take this into our account, if this is our inflationary rate, that is 12 to 13%, and you have deposited your rupee in FD. So FD gives round about 7%, 6.5 to 7. I am taking higher end, that is 7. So even if I consider 7 and here I consider 12%, so your money is depreciating by 5%. Value of your money is losing its value by 5%. You can take all other examples as well, all other alternatives as well, wherever you are investing the money. So that's why they say that people are becoming poorer day by day. Basically, the middle class of India is getting poor day by day. They don't know, but the value of their money is decreasing. So now, after some time, they won't be able to afford those things which they used to afford earlier. Their budget is going to get anyway. And see, this is so important for your GS, inflation and all is there. They ask you the questions related to it. And this concept, how it happens, the depth knowledge of this concept comes from our economics optional subject. That's why I say that economics is such an important subject. Economics optional. It improvises your chances of selection a lot. Your chances of selection get improved a lot. Okay. So again in September we are going to start our new batch of economics optional. Okay. So hurry up, get enrolled in it, and we will cover up the economics section, because after doing economics optional you get in-depth knowledge of what actually is happening. They say that in prelims we have got Indian economy and in optional we have economics. Both are different things. Many people say this thing, but again it's a misconception. I just explained it to you. All the situations you're talking about Indian economy as a whole, I understand, but what phenomena is behind the economy? The phenomena of economics is behind the economy. Economy is run by the economics, yes or no? So if you are aware, if you are well versed with the concepts of economics, then obviously your performance is going to aggravate in comparison to others. You will outshine the others. That's why economics optional is such an important subject. And in the next video, I will discuss with you that why you should opt for economics optional. Here, just give an example to make the things clear to you. Thank you.